All, all right, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We want to give everybody a chance who is coming in to come in. Shabbat Shalom. Um, I want to welcome you to the truth with myself, Yemi'el ben Yehuda, my boy and my brother, Malak ben Israel. And we want to welcome you in at this moment. We're grateful that you're here today for our Shabbat Day class. We have been going over, we introduced a couple of weeks ago the inheritance. And our goal here at The Truth is to bring practicality to not only our lives, but to Scripture, so that you are able to use Scripture in such a way that you can apply it to your life, and you will realize that this is not just a book of magic proportions, but this is a trust document. It is a constitutional document. It is also the our inheritance. And so we want to welcome you once again to the truth. So on 2 weeks ago, we started in Genesis chapter 12, and we started talking about the patriarch of Israel, of our people. And we know that Shem was the father of the Shemitic races, of the Shemitic peoples, henceforth the name Shem. But we also realize too that from Shem's loins, or from Shem came the Israelites, which we are a part of. We are the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. And so we want to talk to you about Abraham and the inheritance that was given to him. Now, Genesis chapter 15, verses 1 through 4, or we can even say 1 through 5, are very prolific in this, because you have to understand that during this time there was a promise made to our fathers, Abraham, from the Most High Yah. And Yah promised Abraham and his descendants an inheritance. Why were they promised this? Because of obedience to the Most High Yah, because of Abraham's faith and his obedience. Now, what got me kind of in I won't say an uproar, but got me looking into this in depth, is because coming from the church, we always heard of, the people becoming spiritual Israel. Well, I'm going to debunk that in this class, because I want you to understand this. In law, there are people who are in charge over inheritances, and those are the executors, correct, Malak?
Correct.
Okay, so when you have an executor that is over your inheritance, you can't write your way into somebody else's will. let me I don't care how much you want to, you can't write yourself into somebody else's will. Now, there were provisions set in the will that would allow you to become a part of us, but it was a physical declaration. Henceforth, the circumcision. You just can't spiritually write yourself in and be adopted. You had to follow our rules, our laws, our customs. And by doing this, then you submitted yourself in, but you were still not completely in the family. and I wanted to get some clarification from Malak once we go into this. So we're going to first start off, and Malak's going to read Genesis chapter 15, 1 through 5. And once we get that clarification on Genesis chapter 15, 1 through 5, then we want to go into a couple of things out of the Black Law Dictionary to give some clarification. So, Malak, whenever you get ready, introduce yourself first, Malak, and then you can
Oh,
do what it is you need to do.
okay, cool, 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 cool. Give me 1 second. Um, First of all, I'd like to say Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Hopefully, the Most High has, you know, been with you. You know, if you have any struggles or any ailments, any pains, hopefully He can give you the attention that you're needing to deal with anything spiritual or physical. I know it's been troubling during these last few years with the struggles in the economy. Putting families at risk of maybe financial burdens and stuff like that. And also attacking us spiritually. Attacking our faith, our belief. We're not able to speak um, truth, as the name of this platform is called. We're being attacked on all fronts, and it's being called hate speech. And it's not hate speech; it's that the powers that be just don't really want to acknowledge uh, the obvious and the truth. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, Shabbat Shalom. Maybe hopefully the Most High is giving you completion, because that would Shalom means completion, fullness. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to achieve completion and fullness in the name of Yah. So let's get forward. Let's get on with this discussion. So you want me to start off at Genesis chapter what again?
Let's go Genesis chapter 15, verses 1 through 5.
Okay, Genesis chapter 15, verses 1 through 5. And it reads, after these things, the word of Yahweh came unto Abraham in a vision, saying, fear not, Abraham, I am thy shade, and thy excellent great reward. And Abraham said, Yahweh Elohim, what wilt thou give me, seeing that I go childless? And the steward of my house is this Eleazar of Damascus. And Abraham said, behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is my heir. And behold, the word of Yahweh coming to him, saying, this shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thy own bowels shall be thy heir. And he brought him forth abroad and said, look now towards heaven and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be. Okay.
Okay, so first things first. In that brief um, conversation between the Most High and Abram's concern was, if you're going to grant me with a reward, I have no one to pass it on to, because the only person I have nobody in my house of me to give it to. Only person that could receive it is Eleazar. This is very important because Eleazar was one of his slaves from Damascus.
Okay. Yeah, we went out for a second. Yeah. But I'm still here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Eleazar was a bondsman and he was from Damascus, so he was not of Abraham's lineage. Abraham's concern was, Father, you're going to bless me, but I have no one to pass your blessing on to, which is very important for us to realize as Hebrew Israelites, or uh, of is that our inheritance is not just for us, but it's for our seed. Henceforth, the Most High went to Abram and it assured him that, hey, listen, you don't have anybody right now, but not only am I going to give you this inheritance, but somebody from your own lineage, somebody from your own loins is going to be there to inherit. That is very important because inheritance is everything. We understand that because it keeps wealth inside of our nation.
Yes.
So the remedy for that was that Abraham was going to receive a son. And if we go further into the scripture, I'm trying to get this thing straight on Bible Hub. Okay. If we continue to go on in the scripture, we realize, or we figure out that not only was Abraham promised a seed or an heir, but he was also promised territory.
Yes.
To pass this on to.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at that. Let's look at what he was promised initially. Hold on for a second. And it says, when the darkness, this is Genesis 15, verse 17. It says, when the sun had set and the darkness had fallen upon the smoke and fire pot, and the flaming torch appeared and passed through the halves of the carcass. Now, prior to that, Abraham set up a sacrifice, and he was given specific orders on what to sacrifice. Abraham had laid out the sacrifice, and at the time of the darkness, now I'm going into this. So, chapter 7, verse 17 is telling you, basically, a flame and a fire pot appeared, or a furnace and a lamp appeared. In the 18, and the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, to your descendants I have given this land, from the rivers of Egypt to the great rivers Euphrates, to the land of the Kenzites, the Canaanites, the Cadamites,
yes,
the Hittites, Perizzites, Rephaites, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgasites, and the Jebusites. All that land that was from Egypt all the way over to what we call modern day Iraq was given, which covered the Sudan, the Arabian Peninsula. All that land was given to Abraham's descendants. Understand this. And I made a statement on 2 weeks ago, and I want to correct myself because I don't want to ever come off wrong. Those descendants that are there may be of Persian blood. They may be Persian, but we're not sure. We don't know. But that land was also promised to the descendants of Abraham. It was not all promised to Israel, but it was promised to the descendants of Abraham. I got to make that very clear, because if I don't, then I'm going to turn out to be wrong. Further down the line, you'll find out that Canaan, the land of Canaan, was promised to the Israelites. as our
Mm-hmm.
portion or our inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Genesis. I'm gonna look real quick. I think it's Genesis chapter 25.
We talk about what in what specific.
I want to see where it goes into.
Chapter 25 will start off talking about Keturah in the lineage of Abraham's seed would be Genesis 25. And then it would go also off into Esau and Yaakov, Isha, Aisha and Yaakov when they struggled in their mother's womb.
Right. So
So yeah.
if we look at chapter 25 and we go into verse 7, it says
Mm-hmm.
Abraham lived a total of of 175 years, and he was a ripe old age, and he breathed his last breath and died. And the old contents were gathered to his people, and his sons Ishmael, Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah um, in Marah, in the field of Ephron, son of the Zorites, of the Hittites. And in this field, okay, and it says, in the field, Abraham was brought from the Hittites, and Abraham was buried with his wife Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
And Abraham died and blessed his son Isaac, who lived in Beer Lahai. Now, the importance of this is to know that when Abraham died, everything was now to be transferred.
Mm-hmm.
All the
Mm-hmm.
wealth, all the possessions, all the
Mm-hmm.
properties.
Mm-hmm.
Now, earlier on, Abraham had remarried because Sarah had died. And Abraham had, quote me on this, Abraham had six more sons.
Mm-hmm.
He had Zimran, Jokshan, Midian, Midia, Ibach, and Shara. These sons also inherited. Now, I want you to understand this. They also inherited. They did not inherit everything
Mm-hmm.
because the inheritance was given over to the son that was loved, and
Mm-hmm.
that was Isaac. But the other sons of Abraham were given a portion or a
Mm-hmm.
gift. I'm trying to find it where they were given a gift.
Okay, where he gave Abraham gave his sons gifts.
Yes.
Okay, hold on, give me a second.
Hold on, y'all.
Okay, it should have been verse 6 then.
Should have been what?
Verse 6, go up one verse. Go up one. Start off at I will start off at verse 5.
Go ahead and find it. Go ahead and start.
Okay, Genesis chapter 25, verse 5. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac, but the sons of the concubine which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived eastward, uh, eastward unto the into the east countries.
Okay. So we already know that Abraham was given an inheritance. Abraham was given an inheritance from the Most High. Shalom, shalom, sister and brother Vale, shalom. Abraham was given.
It froze up for
I'm
a
not
second.
sure if it's detailed correctly, but we'll go into it. And we want to welcome to the telecast the one and only, the one, the only one, known as Brother Yosef, all the way from West Dallas.
East Dallas.
Well, East West Dallas. I want to welcome you into the live. Shabbat Shalom. How are you, brother?
Shabbat Shalom, my brother. Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom.
So the gifts made. I'm not sure. So a question came up and it says, were the gifts also detailed in the book of Jasher?
Yes, I think it is detailed in the book of Jasher. I don't have mine in front of me, but I think so. I tell you what, let's what we do is so we can be correct on that. Let's write that question down. That way, next week we can address everything in detail. That way, we won't misrepresent the Most High's words.
Correct.
But that is a very good question. That's a very good question. But I want to say yes.
And
okay,
I don't
so
have
what?
my. And I don't
What
have
was the?
my. I don't have my other book with me. It's in the
Brother
car.
Joseph have his though. Yeah, Brother Joseph have his.
You have your book of Jasher?
Is Jasher in the Apocrypha?
Yes.
In the Red Book?
Yes. About the enlightenment that Abraham gave it to his to his sons through Keturah. I tell you what, let me go grab mine since go grab mine right fast.
Jasher is not in this book.
I got a table full of books. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Jasher isn't in the Apocrypha, but it's in the non-canonical writings.
Okay, yeah, I have it loaded in my Kindle, but my Kindle is down, so.
Okay.
Let's see.
I'm pulling it up.
And what was the question again?
So they said, weren't the gifts detailed in the book of Jasher? The gifts given to Abraham's other sons with Qatar.
Okay.
So we're gonna look that up.
So these were the gifts that were given to the 6 sons?
Yes.
Okay. I tell you what.
I think it starts off in chapter 25 and 26. So, yes, give me a second. You know what? I grabbed the wrong book. Let me go sit up. Hold on.
So it's chapter 23 in the book of Jasher.
I guess for time's sake, because again, I know 26 through chapter 26, 21 through 25 would be the precept to what we just read in Genesis. But I think it goes into more detail. I think it goes into more detail. I'm trying to remember exactly where.
I'm looking for it too because I want to see it. What's going on, Sister Green? So anyway, before we go in, I mean, y'all keep looking for it, but we understand that that Abraham not only gave his portion to his son Isaac, but also his other sons received gifts from Abraham. Now, this goes into more detail if you don't respond. We don't.
Yeah. If you read on that, Brother Joseph, if you start off at chapter 26 and you start off at 21 all the way down to maybe 26. It don't go into great details, but I'm trying to remember what scripture that goes into a little bit more detail. But you can start off there, and it's a brief synopsis of what we just read in Genesis 25. Well, it's a more detail. It's a little bit more detailed
Okay.
than what we read in 25.
I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it.
In the book of Jasher, chapter 20, chapter 25, 26, you don't see it?
No. I see. Now we talking about the gifts to Keturah's sons?
Yes.
Are we talking?
Okay,
not
let
26.
me, this chapter 20, the book of Jasher, chapter 26, verse 21. And Abraham gave all that he had to his son Isaac, and he also gave him all his treasures. And he commanded him, saying, dost thou not know and understand Yahweh thy Elohim in heaven and on earth, and there is no other beside him? And it was he who took me from my father's house and from the birthplace and from my birthplace, and gave me all the delights upon earth, who delivered me from the counsel of the wicked. For in him did I trust. And he brought me in the place, and he delivered me from Ur Chaldean. And he said unto me, to thy seed will I give all the land, and they shall inherit them when they keep my commandments, my statutes, and my judgments that I command thee, and which I shall command them. Now therefore, my son, hearken to my voice, and keep the commandments of Yahweh thy Elohim, which I command thee. Do not turn from the right way, either to the right or to the left, in order that I may be well with thee and thy children after thee. And remember the wonderful works of Yahweh and his kindness that he showed towards us, and having delivered us from the hands of our enemies, and Yahweh the Elohim caused them to fall into our hands. And now therefore keep all that I command thee, and turn not away from thy commandments of Yahweh, and serve none besides him, in order that I may be well with thee and thy seed after thee. So it's just really I think there's more. I think in chapter 25, but just for time's sake, let's come back to that so we could give more details on that for next week, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when we go into when we start looking at it, there was an inheritance given, and at his death, the gifts were set up. Now the scripture in the Bible says that Abraham gave to Isaac everything that he owned. And then he gave his other sons gifts and sent them eastward. Now, I think it's further on. I think it's in Deuteronomy 25, I want to say, where it tells us that our inheritance was the land of Canaan from this. So if we look geographically today, there are people that are that are Shemites that are all throughout that region. But the Israelites' inheritance is the land of Canaan. And there's a reason for that. And I want to explain it to you in more of a, I want to say more of a common sense way. Israel is the priesthood of God, of the Most High. And so we understand that Mount Moriah, which is now modern day Yerushalayim sits on, is where his presence is. And as the priest, you want the priest closest to where the Father is. And so if you look at the description of the camp, if you look at how the camp's laid out, the priesthood was always closer to the center or the operating portion of the camp. Now we're going to go into this. Now we're going to go into this without worrying about the others' inheritance. We'll let you know what that was on next week. Our inheritance. Go ahead. Anybody got something?
Yeah. Let me add this because you said something that was very important that I think a lot of people really miss from an inheritance standpoint. Okay, we know in the nation of Israel that the priests did not have a portion. The Most High was really the portion for the priesthood. They didn't get the tribes of Levi did not get any land, but they dwelt among the other brothers, right? They dwelt amongst the other brothers that had land.
Correct.
The same thing applies to Israel as a whole. Israel as a whole is the Most High's portion. The rest of the world, the rest of the nations actually get their blessings through us. So when people tell you it don't matter, what they're doing is they're discrediting or discounting their own inheritance without understanding. This is about order. Let's make this make sense right fast. I want to address this right fast because again, I'm gonna show you how important this is. If we look at what's going on the earth right now, and I'm not trying to throw salt, but there's a group of people that have conquered all the land and stole all the identities of the indigenous people of those lands and have raped and robbed and took all the resources of those lands, right? Now, the job of Israel is to give everybody a fair portion. This is why the Most High divided the nations in the beginning. See, this is what you call equitable interest.
Talk to me.
See, what's happening there right now, there's people that are taking all and then deal with you in a kind of way where you don't have equitable interest. In other words, you're not getting quality. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get crumbs. You're gonna get a pat on the back, or you're gonna get
The leftovers.
Yeah, you're gonna get the leftovers. And so what the Most High is saying is that this is why the scriptures talks about when the righteous rule, the people rejoice, but when the wicked rule, the people mourn. So in order for Israel to put balance, so to give the world balance or give the world equitable interest, you have to put the right people in order, right? Where everybody can inherit their land and not be fearful of somebody coming and invade them and taking their, you know what I'm saying, what the Most High gave them, because he gave everybody their portion. And Israel itself is just a priest. And let me just address one more thing with the priest part of it. When we go to the word priest, right? The Kohan.
Administrator.
The administrator, right? Kohan, right? The root shore, the pictograph is a picture of a palm, the palm of your hand, and also the picture of a noon, which is a seed, right? And based on that is okay, give me a second. And here it is. And the basis of that support that which is to stand firm. So the priest is for to be the priesthood stands and hold everything firm. It's to give everything balance, to give everything substance. And without us being in our rightful place, then we cannot give the world the balance that it's looking for. You know. So the priests is like the administrators, like brother Yemi said, the priests are the administrators of the Most High.
So let's look at it like this: when we look at trust law, when we look at that trust law, we realize that there is a grantor.
Yes.
And he is the one that gives into the trust.
That's right.
There is what is it? An executive? I mean,
the trustee.
A trustee.
Yes.
And then there is the one who
inherits, or the beneficiary. Yes.
Or the beneficiary.
Yes.
We are the beneficiary.
Yes.
Levi is the executor of the trust.
Yes. Yes.
So in this, I want you to understand this and make this very clear. Levi was in charge of the books.
That's right. That's right.
The priesthood was in charge of knowing the law.
That's right.
And knowing what portions were given to who.
Henceforth,
this is why every time we had a census in Israel, the Levites grabbed the rolls and called out each person by their family, their tribe, and their groupings, so that you would know where you belong and who you belong to.
What is that?
This is something that has to happen. Now, understanding this, you understand now that out of that which is trust law, it also goes into our spiritual portion. Not a spiritual portion, but it's relevant because it solidifies the fact that you can't write yourself into the will. There are stipulations that you must follow to be included into the will. You can't say, well, we're spiritual Israel, so we're going to receive the reward, which is the Shamayim. No, that's not how it works. There's certain laws, statutes, and commandments that you have to follow, and there's also a physical element that you have to follow. First of all, circumcision. Circumcision was what bound you to the covenant of Abraham. Second of all, you had to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, or what they would call the Mosaic law, which is really Yah's law. You had to keep those things, and that would give you a chance to be grafted into us. But you can't say we spiritually connected and get a portion. That's not how that works, because you don't follow the requirements stipulated in the document. And you can't go rewriting the document because the document was already set in stone. You got anything you want to add to that, Joseph?
Okay, I muted out. No, you hit it, brother. You hit it. Keep going.
So Christianity, as pastors, myself and Joseph, we taught that you were going to be spiritually grafted in. You can't be spiritually grafted into a physical contract. We're grafted in the spirit of the contract. No, there's a physical requirement that has to take place. I'm spiritually connected to you. No, you got to be physically connected. Because the inheritance is not spiritual. The inheritance is physical. When he returns, he's bringing heaven on earth.
Yeah.
Your inheritance is going to play out here on earth. You can't be grafted in to something spiritually. It's a lie from the pits of hell.
Check this out. I'm gonna use something that we're all familiar with, and I guarantee you, everybody that really wants to be honest, we're gonna get it. Think about when you purchase, let's say you purchase a vehicle, or you purchase a wash machine or dryer, whatever, right? And you have a monthly note. Let's say, and we all been late on some of these bills, right? Let's say that bill go into default, right? Let's say that bill go into default, and all of a sudden you get a creditor start calling you, right? You get a creditor start calling you, and we know everybody have experienced this, right? And then now we come to find out that according to law, a third party cannot contract or put themselves in a contract that they was not part of from the beginning. That's the same thing when you talk about being spiritual Israel. You cannot write yourself into a contract and want equitable interest in something you was not part of from the start. Again, this is why I say we're going to make it simple. If we operate the judicial system, the financial system, the legal system, everything, the principles were derived from Torah, derived from the Bible. It operates the same. But for some reason, our people, we want to get simple when it comes down to that. But it's the same principle. There's no such thing as a third party contract. They cannot write themselves into a contract if they wasn't privileged to the original contract. That's it.
So in response to that, we realized that with the Levites, with the tribe of Levi, they were executors over the trust. It was their jobs to manage the trust so that Israel would know what portion was actually theirs. And if we went against the trust, there was a penalty. So you remember how it talks about people being, well, we remember how people talk about being written out of the will or being kicked out of the will. Well, the Most High in Deuteronomy 28, I think in Deuteronomy 6, Deuteronomy 29, he tells you, but let's go over the first part of Deuteronomy 28, Joseph. Let's start at 1 through 15.
So Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 15?
Correct.
Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 28, beginning at verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, the fruit of thy ground, the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shalt thou be, blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways. The Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses and in all that thou settest thine hand unto. And he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. The Lord shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, as he has sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God and walk in his ways. And all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of thee. And the Lord shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers to give thee. Open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven, to give the rain unto the land in his season, and to bless the work of thine hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. And the Lord shall make thee, the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. If that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. You want me to read 15? But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Okay, so listen closely. There were stipulations given. If you were to keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, those blessings would follow you and follow your seed as long as they kept those laws, statutes, and commandments. But there was also curses given. Now, one of the funniest things that I found out about the word Elohim, it also means one who gives blessings and curses, which tripped me out because throughout scripture or throughout the document, he has blessed Israel and he has cursed Israel. And in response to what they have done. But he also sent remedy. You can't just curse somebody and not give remedy. Because when you do that, it causes them to rebel against you. It causes heartache, it causes pain. And the father, in hindsight, because he made these promises to Abram, he is guaranteed to fulfill his portion of that contract. And so he has gone out of his way. He has gone out of his way to make sure that he can give us what he promised to Abram. By sending the Messiah to reel us back in, because we always talk about, the Messiah came and he died for all the sins of the world. Well, no. No, no, I can't stand on that no more. I used to be one of those people that believed that. But then when
Mhm.
I started reading and I read into Matthew 7 and he tells us that he only came for the lost sheep of the tribe of Israel, then he didn't come for all the sins of the world. He came for all the sins of the people that were his and to marry them back into the contract. Why? Because in Genesis chapter 15, we go back, he walked out the contract. Go to Genesis chapter 15 real quick, and I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Sorry, this computer of mine is slow. Go all the way down to let's see what verse. Tell you in a second. Okay, Joseph, go to
Uh-huh.
15. Go to 15. Start at chapter. Go to Genesis chapter 15. Start at verse 8 and go all the way down to 21. Well, you don't have to read down to 21. I'll stop you though.
Genesis 15, verse 8. And Abraham speaking, and he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece against another. But the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, and horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and will afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance.
Stop
And
right
thou
there.
shalt go into thy father.
Stop right there. So know that his people were going to be afflicted. He already promised. He already let them know that listen, there's going to be an affliction on your people that's going to last for 400 years. But rest assured, those people are going to come out of that affliction with great substance. And
Mhm.
I'm going to judge those who took them into captivity or those who afflicted them.
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead and keep reading.
Verse 15. And thou shalt go to, and thou shalt go unto thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces.
Okay, hold on. So we know that the furnace represents the power of the Most High, correct?
Mhm.
And the lamp that walked this out, that went through the pieces, was the Messiah or the Hamashiach. This is very important to know because when they went through the furnace, when they went through the meat,
Mhm,
both of them, it's an agreement between two
mhm,
parties that
Mhm.
if I go against my word on this day,
Mhm. Mhm.
what so happened to these sheep, this heifer, these turtle doves is going to happen to me.
Mhm.
Hey, what's going on, Nadia? So to know this is to then understand that not only are you responsible not only were you responsible for what you said, but you were also responsible for what happened to those animals.
Mm-hmm.
Abraham couldn't go through it. Why didn't Abraham go through it? For one, he wasn't going to be here long enough. And for two, Abraham was not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So the furnace and the lamp walked this out. So the lamp took on the responsibility of the penalty. What was the penalty? Going against Yah's word, or those who went against themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Messiah came, he came as the one who took the penalty of us breaking the covenant between the Most High and Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the sins of the world, y'all. It was what we did to break this covenant.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had already, look, when the flood came, the flood wiped away all the sinners of the world.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people want to go back and say it was for the sins of for the sins of Adam and Eve, because they brought sin into the world. Well, he washed them away with the flood.
Mm-hmm.
He purified the earth and brought a new people into the earth. And then he made a promise to those who came out on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
They had an altar set up and they burnt animals, and they had a great sacrifice. That's what Noah did. This sacrifice was for the people who were the descendants of Abraham. I want y'all to understand this. The Messiah came for the lost sheep of Israel, those who were going to claim the reward which was stated in this contract that day on Moriah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why in Matthew 7, I think it's Matthew 7:25.
Look at it this way, family, right fast. I know we've all heard of the word reset, right? You know, we keep hearing about like a financial reset or government reset, you know, for whatever. The same thing with forefather Abraham. It was a reset that was going on. When we look at the law, the law is perfect. The law is perfect. The flesh is not perfect. The reason why, again, like Brother Yemi said, the reason why uh the furnace and the lamp had to go through, because the law itself is spiritual. It's the law is perfect. It's an intent, in its intent. The law is perfect in its ways. Let's look at it like this here. Let's use something common that's going on right now. We see the adversary trying to change gender, right? We know a girl is born, you know, with her body parts, and a young man, a baby boy, is born with his body parts, you know. So we want to keep it clean. The adversary says no, that's not correct. The adversary says you whatever you want to be. So if you're born a young man or born a boy, if you feel like being a girl, you can be a girl. If you're a girl and you feel like being a man, you can be that. The law states different. The laws of the Most High give balance, give structure. The laws of the adversary give confusion. It gives chaos. It's not accountable, right? So this is why the laws of the Most High is perfect, because it doesn't care about your feelings. It don't care about what you believe, what you think. It's factual. It's built on a spiritual sense, but you see it manifested in the natural, if that makes sense. It's spiritual, but it's manifested in the natural, and it makes sense. The adversary is based on abstract, and it's confusion. It's everywhere. It's grasping for, you know, is grabbing for straws. Brother Yemi'el also mentioned something earlier, and I wanted to read something right because he mentioned remedy, and that's what the law is about. The law is about giving remedy. You cannot punish a people without giving them remedy for their sins or for their actions. So remedy in the Black's Law Dictionary is the means by which a right is enforced, or the violation of a right is prevented, redressed, or compensated. Okay, so the Most High said this. Okay, these are the rules. These are the rules right here. If you break the rules, I'm going to give you a chance to get a reset. Right? I'm gonna give you a chance to start all over. That's what the remedy is. I'm gonna protect you in many cases from your own self.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna protect you from your own self, but also I'm gonna protect you from me. Because whatever I say, I have to abide by those same rules and regulations.
Mm-hmm.
I have to abide by those same rules and regulations. Now, when we look at society, because we always have this discussion, why is it when one group of people commit a crime and another group of people commit the same crime, they don't get the same sentences, or they don't get the same judgment? See, when you have remedy or you have equity, you wouldn't have that out. It wouldn't be out of balance, if that makes sense.
Right.
Go ahead.
So that's what this is really about. The Most High said, okay, no matter what, these are my words. These are my words. And if I break my own word, to keep me in check. These are the things that you can do to keep me in check. But these rules also apply to you. And this is why he had to send his son. Because think about it like this here. Being the Most High is, in a spiritual sense, if let's look at it like this here. Let's say the loss of a child. Let's say the loss of a child. That's one of the most horrible, most egregious things anybody can go through. I haven't went through one, and I Most High forbid that I ever go through that. I don't want my children bury me. But let's look at this. Flesh can understand what it takes or the challenges that we go through. The spirit can't. So the Most High sent a representative in his son. Right? This is where the inheritance is so important about Hamashiach, and I don't want to get ahead of the class because again, this is where you be going at. So let me stop right there because I'm about to get too far ahead.
Go on. We can always clean it up. Just go ahead.
Okay. When the Most High sent Hamashiach, and this is very important, family. This is very important, especially for the non-believers. What are you going to inherit, or how can you make a connection to the inheritance if you don't believe in an heir? Let that sink in. Let that sink in for 1 minute. What are you going to inherit, or how can you connect yourself to inheritance if there's not an heir? You have to have an heir. You have to have an heir. So what happens is the Hamashiach, he goes into the role of the executor. The priests of the children of Israel become the trustee, all right, or the priest of Israel. The people, the other nations, typically become the beneficiaries, and they don't even get it.
So, by him walking out,
yes,
by him walking out the penalty of breaking the trust,
That's right.
he then becomes the executor of the trust.
Mm-hmm.
And the Levi has now become the trustee over this trust.
Mm-hmm.
And we are still the beneficiary of the trust,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which further lets you know that why would he come and die for somebody that he had no connection to?
Exactly. Exactly.
I want to make this make sense,
That's right. That's
because
right.
Scripture says he don't come. What he come with? He gonna come with a sword. He don't come with what?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna come back with a sword,
That's right. That's right.
because
Right. You're not coming
the
to make
fact
peace.
of the matter is, he needs to put his people back in their position as
Mm-hmm.
executor over this thing. He's a joint heir
Mm-hmm.
with us.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
think he gonna let
Mm-hmm.
anybody come in and reap the benefit
Mm-hmm.
not only of the gift that his father gave us, but the gift that he became the remedy for?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why 1/3 of us are gonna receive it, and the other 2/3 of us ain't.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the world, I need not even go into what's going to happen. This is why I'm telling you there ain't no spiritual Israel. First of all,
Mm-hmm.
if you go into Revelations and you see the names on the gate, on each gate that will enter you into the temple, there ain't no other gate. There ain't but 12 gates, and they all got names on them. So how are
Mm-hmm.
you gonna fall in? The executor has the list. Henceforth, he has the book of life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what is it? What is it, Malak? You know we
They're gonna
can't
get
see that. Tell us the scripture.
no. That's the black law. That's the remedy again. What you going on? What you just said about Hamashiach, right? The right given to a party by law or by contract. Remember, this book is a what?
Contract.
This book is
Contract.
a contract by which that the party may exercise upon a default by the other contracting party or upon the commission of a wrong by another party.
Henceforth, he don't want you to be written out of the will, but he dang sure ain't gonna let just anybody jump themselves in and receive your blessing. That's why the people that are in our land right now gotta go. That's
Mm-hmm.
why the people that have kept us, and I want y'all to understand this. And a lot of people aren't gonna say this, but I'm gonna say it because I'm bold enough to say it. The people that are inheriting our land right now financially back the slave trade.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They financially backed it.
That's right. That's right.
They were responsible. They were the vehicle that basically got us scattered throughout the whole world.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
They financially backed it. You don't think there's going to be judgment on them? Not only for the people that bought us and treated us like trash, but to the
Mm-hmm.
people that financed them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know a lot of Ashkenazim that sit up here and say, well, we're not responsible. But we also know that the scripture does one thing. The Father don't really pinpoint one person for their action. He
Mm-hmm.
pinpoints the people.
The people. That's
He's
right.
judging the nations.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if you're a part of that nation, don't get it twisted. If you're gonna be blessed because of the seed that you are, you're gonna be cursed because of the
That's right.
seed that
That's
you
right.
are.
That's right. That's
Ain't
right.
my fault you was born that way.
Mm-hmm.
You mistreated us because we was born this way. So guess what? Your judgment gonna become because you were born that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I want y'all to know that this ain't throwing no stones or throwing no rocks. This is just the truth. You have an opportunity to keep his commandments, keep his laws. There's going to still be a punishment. It just ain't going to be the same as it would be if you did. See, what a lot of people don't understand, when you look at Isaiah chapter 14 and Yosef, I think it's 14 and 12. When you look at it, he says, and Malak, find this one. The one that takes us into captivity will be taken into captivity. Find that scripture for me.
Okay.
I think it's Revelation. Y'all know I'm dyslexic.
Okay, so you want me to read it when I get it?
Yeah, but I also want Joseph to find that Isaiah chapter 14, because that's gonna be a nail in the coffin to this I'm spiritual Israel foolishness.
Now, what did you have? What did you have yourself looking for? Revelation what?
I got it, Revelation 13.
Okay. So what I believe what you're making reference to Isaiah 14, 1 and 2 is the Old Testament, what we call the Old Testament. It's the Old Testament equivalent to what you're looking at.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's actually the precept.
The precept. Yeah. You want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to read y'all excuse me. I'm gonna read 1 through 3, 14, Isaiah 14, 1 through 3. And he says, For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captive, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve.
Okay, now go to your verse, Malak.
Revelation chapter 13, and I'm gonna start at verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with a sword must be killed with a sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Oh, you want me to keep reading? Okay. And I beheld another beast cometh up out of the earth, and he had two horns.
Wait a
like
minute.
a lamb.
Stop. So let's go over Isaiah chapter 14 first. So he tells them, okay, know this, basically, that, those people that did you wrong, you're going to be brought back to your land. You're going to be put in there. But the people that did you wrong, you're going to rule over them. And they're going to become what? Bondmen and bondwomen. Now, that ain't for everybody. Those are to the strangers that cleave to the house of Israel. All the other folks, they catching that heat. So there's going to be a time where the Father is going to reveal who Israel is. I want you to understand this, folks. There is going to be a time where the Father is going to reveal who the true seed of Israel is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And when he does, you're going to have a chance to cleave.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have an opportunity to say, okay, we're going to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. I don't know how we're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do it. And then your punishment for everything that your forefathers did, you're going to bring us back over to Israel. You're going to put us back in our place. We're going to rule over the world and you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be handmaids and what is it? Handmaids. Right.
Handmaidens.
That's just in a nutshell. Go ahead, Doc.
Let's bring this live right fast. Let's bring this live. There was a lady that was some kind of officer in the German military. She's about 90-something years old. They just brought her to trial, I think last month.
Mm-hmm.
Let that sink in.
Mm-hmm.
This was a lady that was part of the German faction that killed the Ashkenazi Jews, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they brought her to justice, they said, for something that happened over 60 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
70 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird that when it comes down to us as a people, it's easy for people to say, well, I had no part of that, right? Now remember, these same people benefited from a system
Mm-hmm.
that afforded them the opportunity or the privilege, let's say the privilege that we could not. And then they'll say, well, I was not a part of that. But the problem is you benefited from. Think about it like this here. Even in this, they'll tell us, well, the government created affirmative action. Let me finish right fast. But here it is, the white woman, Caucasian women are the biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action. Let that sink in. They are the biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action. They are the biggest recipients of welfare. But when we see on television, it's like our women or our people or the reason why the so-called economy is in shambles.
Mm-hmm.
Emmett Till was murdered for allegedly whistling at a white woman, but yet this so-called Caucasian lady is in the late 80s or mid 80s, and they say, well, she's too old to face prosecution. But remember now, start off and say there was a woman that was of German descent. They brought her to trial about a month ago. Let that sink in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Think about this. And I'm not gonna close with this, but this is gonna be right before we close. There's going to be a case brought against those who have impeded or have tried to take the inheritance from us.
Mm-hmm.
Think about RICO and people that sit there and say that they are not responsible.
Mm-hmm.
In a RICO case, they round up everybody.
That's right. You have connections.
The kingpin, the money launderers, everybody. They may not even have known what they were doing and what they were doing it for. and then all the people that benefited from said action, and they
Let me say one more.
indict them.
Let me say one more thing too. Let me say one more thing before you go. This is the tragedy that we as a people don't understand how big this is. Fresh out of slavery. Slavery ended in what, 1865? That was.
Yes.
1865, right?
Supposedly.
Our ancestors had thriving communities straight out of slavery. Matter of fact, even during slavery. You had Rosewood, Florida, I think it was 1845, something like that. You had Tulsa, Oklahoma, like 1830-ish. You had Elaine, Arkansas. I mean, we can go on. These are just the cities that was burned down. We're not talking about the ones that they flooded. We're not even talking about the ones that was flooded. My point is this. There are communities right now that are sitting on top of our ancestors' land that they acquired after slavery. But the people say, well, I had nothing to do, but you were sitting on stolen property even at that level. The financial market, AIG, the Bank of New York, Aflac, all these institutions.
All of the insurance companies.
Yeah,
all the insurance companies.
And most
all of them
banks
benefited.
Yeah.
Benefited. And this is how deep this goes, family. See, what it is it's another form of, and I'm going to use what Brother Joseph always talked about, it's another form of manipulation through Christianity. See, it's accountable when it comes down to you. But when it comes down to them, oh, well, we're all, loving and God's children and forgiveness and yada, yada, yada. But then, this is why it's so important for them to get rid of the old covenant or the Old Testament. Because what happens, you throw away accountability. See, the Old Testament is accountability, and that's what most of our people don't see. So when you get,
replaced with grace.
With theology. There you go.
Let me add this real quick. If you finish, Malak.
Yes, I'm finished, brother. I'm finished.
Yeah, especially speaking as it came out of a Christian church. And this is just one illustration of when I read Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1 through 3. Malak read, was it Revelation what, Malak?
13.
13. Okay. Now, and this goes right in line with Brother Yemi was saying. That spiritual Israel stuff is a lie. And so this drives on my point. When John wrote Revelation and he wrote out that little part right there, that was a dog whistle to Israel.
That's right.
Because an Israelite who knew Torah, who knew the law and the prophets, when John says, how do you say it, Malak, in Revelation? How do you say it there?
Yeah, he said, let him have an ear. He that have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth the captivity shall go into captivity. He
Stop right there.
Go ahead.
Yeah, when he said that, so to Israel, and the Israelites who knew the law and the prophets, immediately what came to their mind was the trust document, that part of the trust document out of Isaiah. A Gentile, that would go right over a Gentile's head because Gentiles didn't know nothing about.
Yes. Yes.
And so
Yes.
when John, this is why in Christianity we get so confused, and we got so confused and discombobulated, Yemi, with Revelation, is because it wasn't written to us. It was written, it wasn't written to Christians, it wasn't written to Christians, it was written to Israel. It was written to get Israel to understand.
That's right.
Listen, Yah have not forgot his word. He have not forgot his promise.
That's
He
right.
have not scrapped the trust and made it spiritual.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
This word is to his seed. This word is to his people.
That's right. That's right.
Understand and remember that what I said in Genesis, what I said in Isaiah, I'm gonna keep my word. What I gave, the promise, the covenant that I made with Abraham, I'm gonna keep my word, because remember, the lamp.
That's right.
The lamp, the lamp, and what was the other that went through? The lamp and
the furnace.
Lamp and the furnace. I've got to keep my word, and I'm going to keep my word.
That's right. That's right.
And so we have to then ring a bell in Israel's trust, that Israel's mind, or in their memory bank, or in their spirit, that I ain't changed. I am Yah, and I change it not.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And it goes back to this too as well, Joseph. When people say, well, now there's a spiritual Israel, he's written out, we're the branches, we're the wild vine. No, you're not the wild branches. The wild branches were scattered before the rest of the vine.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
And he came to bring them back in. This wasn't written to you. How you gonna add yourself into something? When John was on the island of Patmos, John lived some years after the crucifixion. John knew that Vespasian and them was coming through to tear up all of Israel, like the Messiah had said. And this is a warning. Listen, y'all, if you got an ear to hear this, if you get this letter from me, and you got an ear to hear this, I want you to know that he that taketh into captivity, he gonna get taken into captivity. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't be upset. It looks bad for us right now. We going through. But remember, he who kills with a sword, oh yeah, he getting it too. If you just so happen to have forgotten what was spoke of in Isaiah, I'm gonna reaffirm it for you.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Because John, it was a beautiful thing that John outlived all of them, but John lived to see the destruction lived almost long enough to see the destruction of Rome. I mean, the destruction of Israel. John told him, said, look, man, look, I done been burnt, I done been boiled alive, I done been through. I'm on this island, and I done been through it. But rest assured, everything that was said in Isaiah is going to come to pass. And those people who have taken you into captivity, they going into captivity. Those who kill with the sword, they going to die with the sword. So how are they even in, and I want everybody to know that America, that Great Britain, Germany, France, Italy, Switzerland, Bavaria, all those Bavarian countries, they're all just a spinoff of the Roman Empire. They are some of the toes that we're talking about in that great statue.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
They are part of in Rome is nothing more than a part of Babylon. So they're going to get judged. They have to be judged. And those people who have the inheritance, not only to inherit the land, but you also inherited salvation. I want you, look, you also going to inherit your life.
but that's the beauty of the salvation, though. What a lot of our people miss. Think about it like this, family. Think about it like this. Remedy and restitution, or give me the other word. Redemption. Redemption. And when somebody takes something from you, right? Think about a pie. Think about a cake. If you take a cake and you cut it in half, right? If you restore that cake to make it whole, you got to put that half back, right? That was taken. So if Israel is to be restored, if Israel is supposed to be restored, part of your salvation is restoring that what was taken from you. Your land, your language, your culture, your identity, your wealth, right? And then on top of that, the judgment or the penalty for those that took that from you. Because think about it like this here. If the people see when it comes to Israel, it's always, well, I'm sorry, but you never learned a lesson. Think about it. They keep saying I'm sorry, but you haven't learned nothing because you keep doing it. But see, the Most High has given them time. He's given them time. So now that the time has run out, now what happens is he's going to restore, right?
Right.
And being that he has to restore it, he's also going to be the one that renders judgment. See, think about it like when you deal with a child. If a child does something, and then that child gets to the point where they take ownership, or let's say not even a child, just anybody responsible. If they take ownership of what they have done wrong, and they begin to give back what they took, right? Whether if they stole something or whatever, they give that back. You may be a little bit lenient on them as far as passing a written judgment. But if I catch you with the idea that you stole, and I got to take that from you, now I need to be compensated more for what you took from me. Plus, there need to be a judgment because you need to learn a lesson. Saying sorry is not learning the lesson. See, you had the opportunity to show your remorse, right? You had the opportunity to show your remorse by giving back, because it's not like they don't know they stole it. This is why the conversation of reparation is getting more and more heated, because they understand this. The sad thing about our people is what they're not realizing is this. The financial market in this country is not as strong as it used to be. So what they want to do is they want to give you what they call fiat currency from a de facto system, and then they want to do what they call a reset, leaving you with nothing.
Correct. Because if they gave us money right now, they only going over to digital currency soon. So what is that paper going to do for you? Nothing. And then on top of that, look at it like this. And I think it's I want to say you remember in Deuteronomy where it talks about no, it's in Exodus. I think where it starts to talk about after the law was given, the penalties of the law. You know, if you steal from your brother, you need to return this, and that.
Deuteronomy as well, yes. Exodus, Deuteronomy, yes.
Okay, it's Deuteronomy. They have not returned that. And returning us back to our land has to be spoken of. But the problem is if they return us back to where we came from as remedy, it would destroy this country. It would destroy every country that we're in. It would flip it because we spend the most money in the United States.
That's right.
They charge us the most on interest on loans. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? They won't grant you a loan with low interest, really, no matter how good your credit is. Uh, and then they charge you out of your nose, which is against the law, because the
Mm-hmm.
law tells you that you shouldn't charge your brother interest.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the sad thing about the scenario, though. As wicked as these people are, as wicked as they are, the principles that they use are actually biblical.
Of
Like you just
course,
said, Yemi, they when they give us a loan, they give us a high interest rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when they give their people loans, they don't have that high interest rate. That's
Mm-hmm.
straight out of Torah.
that's straight out of Torah.
That's straight out of Torah.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, the thing about it is this. We as a people, again, the financial market, right? The financial market is built off the sweat equity of the people. The sweat equity of the people. Yemi just said we are, I think the number three, if we look at the spending power that we would have the economy of the third largest nation on this planet. With just here in America. We have that much spending power. But we don't own anything. We don't manufacture anything. And in a capitalist society, let's make this make sense. In a capitalist society, that means if you don't manufacture it or you don't produce anything, you're just a consumer. So guess what?
Mm-hmm.
You're always going to be at the bottom. Remember what Deuteronomy said?
Mm-hmm.
You shall be the tail and not the head.
Mm-hmm.
He shall lend to you, but you shall not lend to him. Again, we have to understand that the book it's a living book.
Mm-hmm.
The things that's in this book is happening to us right in front of our face. But the problem is, through religion, through religious eyes, or through a religious lens, we can't see it. But when we start understanding law, we start understanding trust, we start understanding contract, we start understanding um um wills, contract, it begin to make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
What we have given them. So listen, and I want to make this clear. You said we don't manufacture anything. We've never been a manufacturing nation. We were always sheep herders
Mm-hmm.
and farmers. We produced for others to consume, which made
Mm-hmm.
us that was what we did. That's why they brought us over here. So we could
Mm-hmm.
teach them how to farm. And they
Mm-hmm.
still haven't kept the law. They
Mm-hmm.
continuously farm the land dry. They don't give it a 7-year rest. They don't
Mm-hmm.
give, the year of return. They don't never do that.
Mm-hmm.
They've ruined their land. They've ruined Israel since we've been gone. And and
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is, Israel reflects the people. Our inheritance reflects us. Why does Israel look the way that it does? Because we look the way that we do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The land looks like us. But as we awake and we begin to realize our purpose and who we
Mm-hmm.
are and who we belong to, listen, I'm not telling y'all to get upset and be mad at these people. No, that's not your job. That's not what you need to do. Your job is to get to this book and understand what your inheritance is and
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
understand what you need to do to be in line for the inheritance so that you can receive your reward, which is to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. I'm not fighting no battles I don't have to. The Father's going to fight for me. I told one of my friends, I said, I don't give a dang if they ever give us a penny. You know why? Because I keep the law. I try to keep the laws to the best of the ability and the statutes. And out of that, he has blessed me.
Mm-hmm.
But know that my reward ain't here. And I want to say something that Dr. Omar said. He said, if you waiting on a God that gives you your reward when you die, I don't want him. Well, I'm gonna tell you something, Omar. A lot of us ain't gonna die. We gonna live, and our reward ain't here in the United States. It ain't in Brazil. It ain't in South America. It ain't in Europe. It's in Israel, and he's gonna reestablish us as a people.
Let me show everybody how perfect the law is, though, man. This is how perfect the law is. I like to use the scriptures, and I like to use the illustration in real time and show you how powerful this book is. And the Most High is waiting on us. It's not, we talk about we waiting on him. He's waiting on us. That's the issue. He's waiting on us. If we are the biggest consumers in this place right here, let me make this make biblical sense. We just say that we were the tail and not the head. He shall lend to us and we shall not lend to him. We say that, right? We just say that, right? That's scripture, right? Do you realize the high holy days typically revolve not only around agriculture, but they're set where they give Israel a week off, where you don't spend no money. Need I say more? If you don't spend money for a whole week and go to work for a whole week, when do you think happened to the economy?
It crashes.
It's built off your sweat equity. It's built off depending on you to spend money. As a consumer, you are a consumer. It's based off you. And this is why the judgment or the word of the Most High is a two-edged sword, because how they condition us as to be consumers, it also is the same principle that you can use to destroy the very economy that has enslaved you. You don't even see it.
We need to, and this is as we get ready and we're closing. We're gonna go further. We're gonna go more in depth in this next week as well. But we need to know as a people that our purpose is to prepare our seed to receive the inheritance which was promised to us. And so by doing that, we let them know who they are. And not only do we let them know who they are, but the reward that they're going to receive. I'm not going to sit up here and argue with I'm not casting my pearls to swine, and I'm not risking or wasting my breath with the enemy. I was on TikTok for a long time, and I got off the app, as far as talking to Israelites on there, because for one, all they doing is debate. What are you doing debating scripture? You don't have to debate, and you don't have nothing to prove. Just keep the law, statutes, and commandments. If the Christians don't believe that you the people of the book, oh well. If the Christians that are Negroes don't believe that they the people of the book, they are part of the 2/3. You done said the words. You done told them who they are. If that seed didn't fall on fertile ground, guess what? Leave it. Let the birds pick it up and eat it, or let the roots be shallow and the wind carry it away. Your job is just to put the word out there. I got children right now that I have told and told and told. Y'all are Israel. Y'all need to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Y'all need to quit doing what it is you're doing. They want to throw in my face what I taught them 30 years ago. And I'm telling you, and I start off by prefacing, I was wrong. You need to get on board. You need to get this right. If they embrace that, brother, look, I don't care. Because I did my part. Hopefully it'll sink in. Do you think Abraham? It hurt Abraham's heart to let Ishmael leave with Hagar, but guess what? He still had Isaac.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
He had Ishmael for dang 13 years before even Isaac touched on the soil.
That's right.
You know he had a connection with that boy. But guess what? He had to let that go. And this is what's going to happen to some of our people. We got to let them go.
Tiny, what time you leaving?
4.
Huh?
4.
4? Okay.
We got to let these folks go.
That's right. That's right.
Not everybody is going to make it into the kingdom of Israel. We've got to set our losses. We got to continue to put the word out. But I'm not going to sit there. Look, I'm not going to be Abraham and run after that one sheep. That's the Father's job. He told me to plant the. He told me to plant the seed and He will bring the water and the increase.
That's right. That's right.
You gonna get some. You ain't gonna get them all.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's why I love God, man.
Quit beating yourself up. Quit beating yourself up when people don't hear what you say. It ain't you that they rejected.
That's right.
Our inheritance is what all of this book was based off of. This trust between the Most High and Abraham. The story of Adam and Eve and all the other stuff that preceded it, the 14 verses that preceded, or chapters that preceded it, was just the prelude or the pretext to lead you into the promise. Everything after the promise was what was there to tell you how to keep and to fall in to the inheritance. From individual to a nation. He went from an individual to a nation. How to tell the nation how to keep the contract that the one person had between them so that they can be blessed. It's our job right now to tell them the renewing of the covenant or the redeeming of the covenant came with the benefit. Came with the executive, which is Hamashiach, the Messiah. And if you think that you are Israel, if you believe in your heart that you are Israel, his sacrifice cannot go in vain.
Exactly.
So you have to keep those laws.
That's right. That's right.
We got to sacrifice. We got to, like Brother Malak always says, like Brother Yosef always says, we got a kinsman redeemer.
That's right. That's right.
Who not only is heir with us, but he is joint heir with us. So that we can receive the blessings of his Father. Who gave it to us. So as we get ready to let y'all go, next week we're going to get a chance to look into what was given, what all was proportioned out to the other nations or to the other. And I want y'all to understand it's not really that important. Because to be honest with you, I ain't worried about what Ishmael got. I ain't worried about what them other 6 sons got. You know why I ain't worried about it? Because they ain't me. If I ain't Israel, I'm keeping them laws and statutes. And I hope he'll forgive me and he'll let me in, even though I know I ain't. And I tell y'all that are out here listening, step away from what it is that what you're doing and look back at yourselves, reflect, and see. Because all the curses fit you. even the blessings fit you. You are peculiar people. You different than everybody on the earth. Do you understand? We influence everything, but we own nothing. And that's the craziest thing. We influence their fashion. We influence their music. We influence their food. We influence how their agriculture. We influence how they fight. We are their entertainment, but we own nothing. That ought to tell you something if nothing else in the world tells you. Would you go see a football game if it was all white dudes playing? I'll wait.
No.
You don't even want to see a boxing match where there's two white guys fighting. Let's just put it out there. You don't want to see it. You want the Olympics. Can you imagine the Olympics without a brother running?
Not at all.
There would be no world record set.
No.
So know that you are peculiar people. You are people called into Him. You are His people. You are the sheep of His pasture, and His goodness endureth throughout all of our generations. You just gotta believe in who you are, and live according to His rules. Because if you don't, you lost. All right, brothers, y'all got anything y'all want to say?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
I'm good.
All right, Israel. We're thankful and we're grateful that y'all came through and y'all
You need
listened
to get
to
something?
here. I want all of y'all to know we'll be back on next week. We're gonna do our best to make sure that all of y'all that we put this Bible in more practical applications. Because I mean, I don't mind preaching to you, but you can't use a sermon. You need to understand some stuff. The only way to give you remedy is if you know the truth. And that's why we're calling this broadcast from henceforth the truth. Because without the truth, you're going to be blind. You know, and so I want to thank everybody for coming up. I want to thank my brothers Malak and my brother Joseph. I love y'all guys. I'm thankful for y'all.
Love you too, Shalom.
Y'all give me a call tomorrow so we can chop it up for a little bit. I done lost my voice again. So I want to thank y'all once again for everything. I love y'all. And Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Love you too, man. Shabbat Shalom, family. All right.